Welcome to the certificate course offered by the Department of Media Studies. Today we are going to discuss about Adobe Photoshop. What is Photoshop? Photoshop, as the name suggests, it is something that is related with photo. Photoshop is professionally used to create and edit graphics and photographs, to draw, to color it. Basically, Photoshop is a photo editing software. It was developed in the year 1984 by American brothers Thomas and John Knott. Photoshop is a raster graphic software, which means it is used to edit raster graphic. Then what is a raster? Raster is a combination of pixels, or a group of pixels form this raster graphic. There are different forms of raster graphics like PNG, JPEG, GIF and so on. Photoshop is a tool that is used by photographers, web designers, creative professionals and so on. We can use this Photoshop to make logos, brochures, etc. So there are different tools and features that can be used to make these files. Let's discuss about it.
Adobe Photoshop is one of the most powerful graphics and image editing softwares available right now. So right now I have just opened version CC 2014 of Adobe Photoshop. Basically Photoshop works on raster file format. In graphic designing there are two file formats, one is raster and the other one is vector. Raster file formats collects information or stores information in the form of pixels or picture elements. So they are just like small blocks similar to the blocks in a graph. Vectors stores information in the form of mathematical forms, mathematical workflow. So both file formats have its own advantages. Photoshop is using raster file format. So we can explain the difference between raster and vector through this image. Here you can see a raster image, representation of raster image in the left hand side and vector image on the right hand side. So if we go for a zoom level in raster file format, you can see the individual pixels which stores information, or pixels are the building blocks of these raster files. So in vector it's not like pixel, it is using mathematical formulas for storing the information. So if you are zooming it, you will not see these blocks, and they are more scalable than the raster format. So I have just opened an image here. Basically all images stores information in the form of pixels. Here if you go for a zoom level, you can see the individual blocks. These are the pixels. So we can see the basic layout of Photoshop. Right here on the left hand side you have the tool panel. These are the basic tools which are used for the workflow, and on the right hand side you will get to see different kind of panels. The panel for selecting the colors, making other adjustments, styles. You can have layers right here. Basically when we work on different kind of files, you will get layers. So basically a PSD file which is saved on a hard disk will have different kind of layers. So as an introduction we will just familiarize the different panels, tools and general settings of the software. So we need to have a proper allocation of the system resources for the usage of this Photoshop software. So for getting into the preferences, you can have this Control plus K shortcut and you will get to the Preferences tab. Here in the performance setting, you can have the measurements of the available RAM, total available RAM in our system, and how much the Photoshop is given the allocation. So here you can adjust the amount of RAM which is used by this particular application. According to your system's resources, you can make it bigger or smaller. And here you can opt for the kind of files which you are going to use in this program: tall and thin, default, big and flat. There are 3 options, and according to the requirements you can choose one of the options. And here you have the history states. History states denotes to the number of actions which you can revert. So according to this status, you can go back to at least 25 steps. If you are making a mistake, or if you want to go back to a previous position in Photoshop, then you can set accordingly. Here you can go at least 25 steps. And the cache levels denotes the amount of memory which can be accessed in a faster setup. And there is a setting for scratch disk also. Scratch disk is a temporary swap portion or a virtual memory which is a position in our hard disk which is used by Photoshop as a temporary medium. So you need to have some amount of space dedicated for the scratch disk also. And if you have a good graphic processor, you can give a check on this box in order to make use of the graphic processor available for your Adobe Photoshop. And regarding the general appearance, you can switch between different modes of visual appearance just by pressing the key F. You can switch between the different modes. Here you can see the change of appearance just by pressing the key F. And again here you can see the view settings. You can make different kind of appearances like rulers. You will see the ruler right here, and you can have the extras like grid. If you want to make a grid appearance, you can make it appear from the view option. If you switch it off, it will be disappear. So this is regarding the general appearance of the windows. And here you can have the different tools which are commonly used in Photoshop, and when you place your cursor to the individual tools, you will have a small write-up regarding the tool, the name of the tool. Here it's showing the move tool, then right here rectangular marquee tool, and you can see the corresponding short keys in the bracket. So likewise you will get to know what are the titles, what are the names of the different tools. Some of the tools will have sub options also. Here you will see a small denotation regarding the sub options. When you right click that, you will get into the different sub options for that particular tool. In this session we are going to discuss the various color modes used in Adobe Photoshop. First of all, when we open a new file, you can select a particular preset from the new dialog box. Here you can choose from the given presets, or else you can give a customized file size. So if you opt for the international paper size, you can select from different paper sizes here, and the width and height will be automatically filled. And you can decide resolution. You can see if you change the resolution values, it will directly result in the different image sizes. Here it's 1.43 megabytes. So if you increase the resolution, you can see the direct result here in the image size. So here is the color mode. You can have different kinds of color modes selected from this option. The most common color modes which we are using are RGB color mode and CMYK color mode. The RGB stands for red, green and blue, and the CMYK stands for cyan, magenta, yellow and black. K stands for black. The basic difference between RGB and CMYK is RGB is used for web or internet purposes, and CMYK is used for print purposes. For instance, if you are going for a printed brochure, then you need to select the CMYK colors. Otherwise, if you are preparing a brochure or a particular work for the purpose of uploading to internet, then you can choose RGB color mode. Basically, a color mode, also called image mode, it decides how the various colors in combination gives a particular output. So in RGB, we are assigning an intensity value to each pixel. Here we have the 8-bit channel. In 8-bit per channel images, the intensity values ranges from 0 to 255. So if you are giving the values as 255, all the values are 255, then the output will be pure white. If you are giving a 0 value, the output will be black. We can check that. I am just selecting RGB. Okay. Here in the tool panel, you have this color setting option. So from this, you have this color picker tool. This value stands for the RGB. Here I am going to enter the value 255 for RGB. Then you can see the resulting color, it's white. When we entered the values 255 for red, green and blue, then the corresponding output will be white. We will check what will happen if we enter 0. You can see the output is black. When we enter the particular value of 0, the output is black. Now we will try to give same values, just the same value for all 3 components. Then you can see the result will be a gray color. So this is the RGB color mode. RGB uses these 3 colors or channels to reproduce the colors on our digital screen. So you can use the RGB for the web purpose. We told like CMYK stands for cyan, magenta, yellow and black. So in CMYK, each pixel will be assigned a particular percentage value for the process inks. So at times we we mentioned that a result or the output of a CMYK file may be different according to the settings of the printer. Although this CMYK is a standard color model, the exact range of colors represented can vary, because depending upon the printer's setup or the printing conditions, the output can vary. So even though we assign a particular standard color in CMYK, when we depend upon a particular printer for the result, the output may vary according to the printing conditions. So generally a common user will select either CMYK or RGB for the work. These are the two color modes used very commonly. Other than that, we have some other color modes like grayscale, bitmap and lab color also. I am not explaining these color modes. This grayscale mode will be having 256 gray shades in that color mode, and in the bitmap mode you have the combination of two colors, and there will be one more mode like an index mode. So it will be using again a combination of 256 colors. So the most commonly used color modes are RGB and CMYK. If you are using the work for a verb purpose, you can choose RGB, and if you are going for a print output, you can choose CMYK color mode. Hi all, in this session we are going to discuss the basic selection tools in Adobe Photoshop. So right here I have opened two images, and on the right hand side you can see the layer panel. Any changes we are going to make in the layer will be reflected in this layer panel, and on the left hand side you can see the tool panel. The most commonly used tools will be displayed here, and this session will be discussing about the basic selection tools. So right here from the top we can see the move tool, rectangular marquee tool, the lasso tool and a quick selection tool. And this four set of tools belongs to the category of selection tools. So whenever we place our cursor on a tool, the name of the tool along with the short key will be displayed here. So we can see the move tool and the corresponding short key V in the bracket. Likewise, we can see marquee tool M, lasso tool L and the quick selection tool W here. We will see the application of these tools by doing an exercise. In this particular session, we will discuss the application of the move tool and marquee tool. For that purpose, I am selecting the move tool and I am going to the second image, and I am just selecting this layer. I would like to make a copy of this layer by clicking Ctrl plus Alt simultaneously. I am pressing Ctrl plus Alt key simultaneously, and we can see a particular icon is displayed here, which means we can copy this particular layer. An exact copy of this layer will be created if we click, drag and place it on the first image. So you can see the entire copy is appearing on the first image. So the changes in the layer is reflected here. You can see a new layer number 1 added to the background of the layer panel. So by using this move tool, you can move this particular layer anywhere in your frame. So we will go to the second selection tool, that is marquee tool. I'm selecting this marquee tool and going to the image, and I'm just making a selection. You can see the selection is displayed here in the form of dotted lines. As the name indicates, it's a rectangle selection. Then again I am going to create a copy using Ctrl plus Alt key. We can see this icon, then click, drag and place it on the first image. You can see the particular selected region is displayed here as a copy, and the addition of that second layer is reflected here in the layer panel. Then the selection will be working based on the layers. So if I want to move the layer number 1, I will just select the move tool. If I am trying to move the layer number 1, see the selection is right here on the second layer. Then I need to select layer number 1 from this layer panel. So now I will be able to move layer number 1 with the move tool. So likewise, if you want to make any changes on a layer, you need to select that layer initially from the layer panel. So now we will move to the application of elliptical marquee tool. I have selected that tool. Right now we can see the previously made selection in the form of dotted line. If you want to deselect an area, just press Ctrl plus D. Selection is cleared right now. I am going to make selection using elliptical marquee tool. You can see the selection in the form of an ellipse. Then using the same Ctrl plus Alt key, we will get a copy of that, and in a similar process we can place it on the first image. Again you will see the reflection of the newly added layer here. Then there are two marquee tools more here, single row marquee tool and a single column marquee tool. These tools are also similar to the previous ones, but the only change is the area of selection will be a single row and a single column. We will see what is the selection area. Just select the single row marquee tool and going to the second image, just deselect the previously selected area. Click on the image. You will see a single row is selected here. If you want to check if what is the exact selection, just press the delete key. Then you will get an option to fill the selected area. So here I am selecting a particular color. Click OK. Then deselect the particular area. You will see a selection of a single row. Since we have filled that area with a new color that is appearing here. So the very basic purpose of that single row selection tool is to select a single row in a particular image. Likewise, you can select single column marquee tool. Then again we can check the selection area using a fill tool. Just press delete. You will get the dialog box to fill a color. Clicking OK and deselect the area. Then you will come across the selected area replaced with a new color. So we have the 4 marquee tools. So today we discussed the application of a move tool and marquee tools, 4 kinds of marquee tools: the rectangular marquee tool, elliptical, single row and single column. All these marquee tools do the function of selection and the range of selection will be different according to the subset we are going to choose. Lasso tool is basically a selection tool which can be found right here in this tool panel. When we check the sub options, we can see the basic lasso tool, polygonal lasso tool, and a third one, magnetic lasso tool. So using the basic lasso tool, we can create a free form segment of a selection area. For example, when we select the basic lasso tool, we can go for a free form selection like this, and we need to connect both the ends in order to complete a selection area. So like we mentioned in the earlier sessions, we can create a copy of this particular selection area using Ctrl plus Alt key and create a copy of that particular selection. We can place it anywhere in the same window or other files. So we are going to deselect the selection by Ctrl D, and we will see the property of polygonal lasso tool. So the polygonal lasso tool can be used for creating straight edged segments for the selection. For example, when we are making a selection, we can see these straight edged segments, and we need to connect both the ends in order to complete the selection. So the only difference is the first one was a free form, then the polygonal lasso tool is a straight edged segment creation. And when we go to the third one, the magnetic lasso tool, this is more like a magnet in the sense we can create a selection just by clicking and dragging, and it will act just like a magnetic strip, so the connection will automatically snap to the defined edges like this. Here also we need to connect it by joining both the ends. So basically lasso tool helps us for selection. We can have three types of selection. The first one is a free form selection. The second one creates straight edged segments, and the third one, which is the magnetic lasso tool, makes a magnetic snapping selection. So basically three of the lasso tools helps us to make selections in three different ways. So other properties like moving and copying the selection area is similar to the other selection tools. We can create copies by just clicking Ctrl plus Alt. The deselection can be made by using the Ctrl plus D command. So that's all regarding the basic properties of lasso tool. In this session we will discuss the difference between the quick selection tool and magic wand tool. Both quick selection tool and magic wand tool are used for selection of an area which uses the property of color. The main difference is the quick selection tool makes selection based on the similarity in color and texture, and it acts more like a brush. So you can click and drag a particular area, and using the magic wand tool you can select a similarly colored area using just one click. So we will see the application of the two tools. So here we will see the difference between the two tools, the quick selection and magic wand tool. So I have opened an image here. So I am going to make use of quick selection tool here. See, we can select a particular area and we can increase the area of selection just by clicking and dragging it across the range of colors. So if you want to select the entire area, you can just click and drag and complete the selection. Okay, so again I am going to do a selection. If I want to stop in between, I can just release the mouse. So if you think you have a area which you don't want to select, then you can use this minus or subtract button, and you can just deselect a particular area. So using quick selection tool, you can just select an area like using a brush. The magic wand tool depends upon the color range. It will select only the similar colors. For example, if you click, it will select only a similar pattern of color. So you can understand there is a difference between the selection pattern. Magic wand tool is very helpful when we have a similar range of colors which needs to be selected. For example, I am going to open another image, and using the color picker tool, I am just giving a color. Then we will create a rectangle and give this rectangle a different color. I am going to flatten that image. Right here we have a single image with two different colors. So there are no color difference in the particular areas. So we will see the working pattern of magic wand tool. If you select this particular area, it will get selected as a wall part because there is no difference in the range of colors in this particular selection area. So if you want to delete that particular color, then you can just press delete key and delete that color. Here also you can select the entire black area just using single click. So that's the very purpose of magic wand tool. So magic wand tool helps us to select an entire area. If we have a similarly colored area, then it will work better. Otherwise you can go for the quick selection tool. It's a more powerful tool which helps us to select an area just like using a brush. You can keep on adding an area, or you can remove the selection area using the sub options. That's all regarding the difference between quick selection tool and magic wand tool. We have discussed some of the selection tools. So by making use of selection tools and text tool, we will create a simple brochure for a webinar, and by the end of this session we will also see how to create a Google form for the registration purpose of a webinar, and how to add that hyperlink into our brochure. We will also see how to generate a QR code, a free QR code into this brochure. So initially we need to create a new document. From the preset we can select one based on our requirement. Here I am selecting international paper size A4. The width and height will be automatically generated. We can choose the color mode according to our purpose. Here I am selecting RGB color. The resolution can also be given here. Here it's 300 pixels per inch. You can see the corresponding image size almost 24.9 megabytes. So it's a pretty large document. If you want the image size to be lower, you can go for a reduced resolution. I am clicking OK, and we have a plain document here. Initially we can just start one layer by opting this create a new layer. So I would like to add a color, background color. So have selected this color picker from this icon. So here we can select a particular color from this vast range of colors. Using this slider we can select from all the shades of colors. You can either select the color by this color picker, or you can manually enter the values here in these columns. So I am just selecting a particular color, clicking OK, and we need to apply that color to this layer. So here we have a paint bucket tool. So using that paint bucket tool, when we just click, our selected color will be applied to that layer. Then I am just going to use this text tool and type a title for the brochure. Here I have to change the color of the text. So we can see a text layer is created right here. So we can change the properties of the text by clicking on this particular tab. Here we can change the font, we can give font measurement, the line spacing, and other parameters related to the text can be entered from this particular window. So we have a title placed here. If you want to add some extra effects to the text, here on the layer panel you can right click and go to the blending options. Here there are several options to add extra effects to your layer. So if I am applying this bevel and emboss, you can see the change in the appearance of the text. So again, by clicking on that individual effect, you can make more adjustments. You can increase the depth, the style, technique, size, and several other properties can be changed right here. If you are satisfied with your effects, then click OK. Then we can place a particular image. Here this image is having a transparent background, so we just need to place it on our brochure. We can have many transparent images like this from internet. So I am just using the move tool and placing it in our work area. So now we will see how to insert a shape here. We have a rectangle tool right here. I am just using that tool to create a rectangle portion here. So we got a rectangle strip right here. It's created as a new layer. So again I am going to change the color. So again, by going to the text properties, so we have a text element placed here. Here also, if you want, you can go to the blending options. Then I am going to place a logo right here. So I am just moving that logo right here. You can see a white background is there. So we can make use of a magic wand tool here, because you can see the background is almost uniform in white color. So this selection will be enough to clear out the white background. You can see the entire background is selected. Just delete, deselect the selection area. Now your logo is ready. Then if you want, you can go to the blending options. You can just give bevel and emboss effect. So here I am going to place an image. So I would like to select a particular portion from this image. So I would like to use the elliptical marquee tool. I am just selecting particular portion and I am using the Ctrl plus Alt key to get a copy of this selection. So here we have that particular selection made by the elliptical marquee tool. So again, going to the blending options, I would like to give a small border to this picture. I have applied a stroke effect here. You can go to the insert parameters. Here the black outline is not looking that nice, so I would like to change the color. We can increase the size of the border just by using this slider, or else you can enter a value here. If you are okay with your results, click OK. Then again I am going to use the text tool. You can give the name of the resource person, date, platform, etc. here. The text here appears to be a little bit cluttered, so you can select the text, go to the text properties. You can arrange the space between the lines using this option. So in the next step I am going to explain how to create a Google form and paste the hyperlink of that Google form document into our brochure. So we need to create an output from this particular Photoshop file, and we have to place that image in a Word document in order to create a clickable hyperlink, because in Adobe Photoshop it will be difficult to create a hyperlink into the JPEG file. So right now I will go to the browser. Here we can create a Google form. So just select the Google Forms, click on a blank form. You can give a title of the form right here. We can add questions here like participant name, designation, institution, like words. And if you want to add more questions, just click on add question, and you can add as many as questions using this add question option. You can either ask for an email ID right here by adding a question for that, or you can have the collect email address box ticked right here from the settings tab. So here we have the settings tab. If you click on the collect email address, all the email addresses will be automatically collected. Otherwise you can add a specific question for collecting the email addresses. So you can limit the responses from one individual to one by ticking on this box. So once a person has responded to the Google form, he will not be add a second response using the same Google account. So you can limit that response to just one entry by clicking on this. You have to save that. Then again go to the send form option. Here we have the link. You can shorten the URL by clicking here and copy the link. Your form URL is ready for copy pasting. So right now I am going to generate a QR code for that. Just Google QR code generator free, then you will get a different kind of options. Just paste your URL here and you can save it. In different formats are available here. So your QR code is ready right here. Now we will just open that QR code. You can just place it right here, and now we need to make a clickable hyperlink into this brochure. For that purpose we need to save this file. I am going to save this as JPEG file. You can decide the quality of the file right here. If you want the maximum possible quality, slide towards the large file. Otherwise you can go for a small file option. Click on OK. Now your JPEG output will be ready. We have a brochure in a JPEG format right here. Now we need to open MS Word, and we are going to just insert our brochure, and using this wrap text option you can scale this image. First select the wrap text option, go for the behind text option, then you can scale this image to fit the page, otherwise you will be getting the white space leftovers right here. So if you are okay with your scaling, then you can go for a border. Right here you can select borders. Now we need to copy paste our hyperlink to this image. So first we need to insert a text box. For that, select text box. Here we are going to copy paste our Google Form URL, copy that, paste it here in the text box, and you can move your text box to a convenient position. So when we just press on enter, you can see the hyperlink activated. Right now it's activated. If you want to check, just we have one more step to make this entire box area working as a hyperlink, because if we save this document as a PDF, then we need to exactly click on this text inside this box in order to make this URL clickable. So we need to make this entire box activated for the purpose of clicking on this URL. So again I am going to select this box, right click it, and we have hyperlink option right here. Go to the address bar, paste your URL, click on OK. Now your hyperlink is ready. You can change the color of the text box. So if you can go for a test, save as, we will save it as a PDF document. Now we will see if our document is ready. So right here we can see our brochure is converted into a PDF document. Just click on the hyperlink. You can see your registration form is activated from the URL. So following these steps, we can create a brochure within a limited time. I will explain the steps very briefly. First of all, we have selected a preset, then we just created a background layer, then we added a background color using the color picker tool, then we placed a title for the brochure using the text tool right here, then we applied some effects to the title by right clicking the text and taking the blending options. We created a bevel and emboss effect onto this title, then we just placed an icon of a camera right here. Then we inserted a shape in the form of a rectangle right here, then added another text material, placed a logo here. Then using the magic wand tool, we just deleted the background white patches of the logo. Then again we just inserted an image using the selection tool. Using the elliptical marquee tool, we created a elliptical selection, and we have added a white border to that. Then the final steps were adding a QR code and adding a hyperlink. For that, we went to a free QR code generator. Initially we created a Google form and copied the URL, then just placed it into the website, which helped us to create the QR code. Then we saved the QR code as a PNG file, then we placed it right here in the bottom portion. Then again we saved our output into a JPEG file format. Then we opened that file in a Microsoft Word software. Then we applied a small border to the document. Then using the insert text box option, we created a text box, and inside the text box we pasted the URL and created a hyperlink. That's all regarding preparing a very simple brochure for the purpose of a webinar. Thank you for watching.